Outlaw Law is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Your law firm for life.
Welcome back into the Outlaw Lawyers. Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, are your hosts. They're practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. Also, an attorney at Whitaker and Hamer, Cassandra Nicholas, joining us from the Morehead City offices. And speaking of offices, they are conveniently located in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and again, brand new in Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. If you've got a legal question you are facing and you need some answers, you can always call Whitaker and Hamer, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call's about, and an attorney will be in touch. You can always email your questions to the show as well, questions@theoutlawlawyer.com. Josh, where are we going next?
Morgan, we have a segment like we had last time, and then we go to break. And so I sit here and I think about the segment that we just had. And I feel like we have to take breaks to remind people that we are real, legitimate attorneys.
That's right.
Right?
As real as it gets.
Yeah.
As real
and I would argue good. I would argue good, legitimate.
And you're an attorney, so you know how to argue things.
But you're also human. You have
human
other interests. I mean, you're a huge Simpsons fan. I mean, there's a lot going on in there.
You don't like art.
Apparently not.
I like to think that we have fun here, and so we come. Our attorneys come in here and we let our guard down, and we like to talk about these legal topics. But I just think a helpful reminder, maybe halfway through every show, that we are licensed in North Carolina. We're attorneys who do real, good, professional work. We're just letting our hair down and getting into some good, meaty legal topics. But the next one that we have for you, I'll let Joe give you the background, but we're going to talk about Darrell Brooks. We're going to talk about he's defending himself from very serious, about as serious as it gets, criminal charges. But this also gets us into a conversation. I think we've mentioned it once or twice on the show before, but this sovereign citizen thought, this mindset, this sovereign citizen mindset, which is not usually very helpful to you as a legal defense. But Joe, just remind everybody who Darrell Brooks is and what he's accused of.
Yeah, so, simply put, Darrell Brooks, he's the man that's accused of basically driving his SUV smack dab into a Waukesha, Wisconsin Christmas parade, killed 6 people, injured 62 others. Eyewitnesses basically said, he pulled into the crowd and was deliberately trying to hit as many people as he could. A horrific crime. And like you said, Josh, fired his attorney, originally pled insanity, withdrew that, and has now pled not guilty. But surprisingly, his defense of himself, making a fantastic case that this man is legitimately insane, as if driving into a crowd of people wasn't enough. But horribly tragic incident, just terrible. And this is another case where social media is really taken something that, you hate to call it entertaining because you're talking about a horrible tragedy, but it's one of those you almost can't look away. And so there's daily updates because this guy's representing himself, and it's a spectacle. And the way he's the rants he's going on, the way he's handling himself in the courtroom, it's a very just different look at the courtroom proceedings when you have a person who has no legal training, who's pretty clearly a crazy person, just throwing everything they can out there in defense of themselves. And I know you're not a TikTok guy or a real social media short video type of guy, Josh, but there's tons of it out there, and you should go check it out because it'll just blow your mind just watching this guy operate. And the judge is trying to be patient, and you can see it, and is just struggling to keep order, and they keep having to remove him to another courtroom and make him watch. But it's just insane, man. That's the best way I can describe it.
Cassandra, are you following this one?
So of us, I am usually the one that's on top of these sensationalized trials, but I haven't been watching this one, but now I need to.
Oh, you're blowing it, Cassandra. Yeah.
I know, I'm sorry, but we have you, Joe. You're all over this.
People send me these things. So this has been sent to me. I don't seek them out, but you know, with the way that the algorithm is, you watch like one of these videos, you're getting 73 of these videos every time you pull it up.
I'm ready for them.
I'm getting blasted with them now. But it's just it's crazy, man. He's cross-examining these people that he has like run over them or their family members. And the approach, he's basically trying to make the point that it's not him. And his lines of questioning, they're asinine, they're ridiculous, and the people are just staring him down. And it's amazing to think about the level of patience and restraint that these people have to sit there across from him, maintain their composure. I could have really taken some notes from those people during that Duke Carolina football game. I'd take this opportunity to apologize to the very old man that sat in front of me at that game.
So he's charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder, and there's 77 additional assaults, things like that. I saw him questioning one of was it the father of the 8-year-old who passed away, or maybe it was the baseball coach of the 8-year-old, but he was questioning somebody who had suffered a loss. He was like, "Oh, but you didn't see me."
Yeah,
and he's like,
"That's his thing."
Yeah. He's like, "You didn't." And
he's like, "What's?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What's the name of the person who was driving that vehicle?" And they're like, "It's you, man." He's like, "And how did you know that? Did someone tell you that name?" And he's like, "Yeah, the police told me that name." So, well, you didn't know at the time when I was running you over that was my name. And he's just, it's crazy, man. Just absolute insanity.
I did see a clip after you told me about it. I was kind of trying to catch up on it, but I did see a clip where he just yells hearsay. Like I don't think he knows.
Keeps doing it. Repeatedly, hearsay, and they just and the judge just to the judge's credit trying to maintain order, just gently chastising, and then gradually you can just see it's like every day just the patience runs thin and starts running out, and he keeps insisting that he doesn't want to be called Darrell Brooks, and just man.
Well, one of his I'm doing air quotes. One of his defenses is the sovereign citizen argument. So there's this argument, and they take all shapes or forms. And when I in law school, I interned at the DA's office, and that was my first encounter with folks who come in charged with serious crimes, and they'll say, "You don't have any authority over me. I'm a sovereign citizen." And so sometimes they trace their origins and say, I can't be subject to the Constitution and they have all these arguments, and you see this in different areas of law come up in different ways. It's all worthless, right? So if you know somebody who's really getting into the sovereign citizen movement, like they usually end up in jail, right? I mean, if that's the measure of their defense.
But are they really in jail? They're sovereign in jail. So does it really even does it really even count,
on their
Josh?
But you know, if you're and this guy had I would argue he had a pretty experienced attorney. I think his attorney had been doing this for like 20 or 30 years, so he didn't have like a new public defender or anybody. He had somebody who. An insanity defense sounds perfect for this guy. This guy his defense attorney was probably doing the absolute best job he could do, and this guy's going. I mean, I don't know if he realizes it yet, but he's gonna. I mean,
they're playing 4D chess, man. Yeah. His attorney letting him do this, showing the insanity. 50-minute diatribe he went on. It says in court.
Well, but no attorney. Like the attorney's fired. I know competency has to be different state by state and probably judge by judge, but like there had to have been some sort of competency determination, right? But
yeah, and that's the thing. You watch him speak, and if you didn't listen to, I mean, I know you have to listen to the content of what he's saying, but he doesn't necessarily immediately present as an insane person. You listen to him and you're like, clearly, yes. But there's a fine line between insanity and just being a gigantic moron, horrible human being. And that's also one of those tricky things to where do you draw the line there, right? Because there's people out there that are just bad people that are just doing terrible things. And you don't want to absolve responsibility by just being able to back out saying that these folks are insane. But this dude's he's I think he lacks some sane capacity for sure. 50 minutes. Can you imagine sitting in court listening to a 50-minute sovereign citizen diatribe? I know you were going to be a sovereign citizen at one point, Josh.
No,
wasn't
I
that?
didn't.
Oh, okay.
I didn't look into that.
Card carrying.
Yeah, some of us have been confused with someone else.
I can't imagine, your jurors, the folks that you're trying to convince of your innocence, you're just blatantly wasting their time. I mean, jurors are smart. They pick up on things. When we have trials and the other side, it's just try to reiterate a point over and over again. Like you see the jury get tired, and so the jury cannot be excited about having to sit through these hour-long diet. Like I said, what's another word for diatribe? So we don't keep saying diatribe.
I just keep saying it's
Rant.
a good word. It's a
Rant.
good word. Diatribe.
Only diatribe.
Maybe you say that, man, but then you got to think some of the things you can go and be a juror for, the most mundane, just boring procedural. You're going in every day and you're seeing a crazy person put on a one-man show. Again, tragic circumstances, never want to make light of the actual situation around it. But I think there's, as far as just sitting in a courtroom and listening to something, it's just, you're never going to be bored listening to this crazy person ranting.
I had a trial advocacy class, and the final was like examining an expert witness, and my jury had people actually asleep. So I can't criticize this guy for his entertainment value, at least for the jury.
What'd you say?
Sorry,
I was dozing.
I think we lost some folks there. But every juror is definitely not made equal, but usually they know what's going on and it's their time. They're there. It's frustrating to be a juror, to give up your time and then have it kind of wasted right in front of you. So that never serves a party very well. But
why don't you make a bold prediction? You think this guy's defense is going to work, Josh?
I think this guy is going to get convicted of every single charge.
Is he going to add some extras?
Yeah, I think he's going to get convicted of every. And I don't know what the death penalty. I don't know how that works there. But I mean, if you have the death penalty available to you,
I think they said several consecutive life sentences, if I'm not mistaken. Several.
Well, when we come back, we're going to get into another subject, the onion. We'll explain when we come back from the break. The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, your hosts, managing partners at Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. Also, Cassandra Nicholas, an attorney at Whitaker and Hamer, joining us from the Morehead City office. If you've got a question, a legal question that you're facing and you need answers, you can always call Whitaker and Hamer, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call's about, and an attorney will be in touch with you from Whitaker and Hamer. And you can email your questions to the show, questions@theoutlawlawyer.com. We're back right after this.